Welcome back to Footy SA, talking all things South Australian footy, and we're turning our attention more locally now to the SANFL. It's time for our SANFL update for Farmers Union Iced Coffee. And don't forget, this year in 2014, we're launching our Farmers Union Iced Coffee medal. We'll be rewarding the player at the end of the year who is the hardest working, determined and no compromise attitude. All the traits of the great Farmers Union, great South Australian alignment. Remember, it's Farmers Union Iced Coffee or it's nothing. There'll be plenty of SANFL footballers, I would think, clamouring to win that. It's going to be a good competition this year, boys.
It should be a beauty, and especially nowadays, everyone's talking about brilliant, but nowadays the focus for clubs is on team roles, doing the hard stuff and defensive stuff, and it probably fits perfectly.
Get the feeling this is going to be one of the great years of SANFL footy because the licences have been handed back. It's a significant moment. And the two new teams, it's going to be on for young and old.
Yeah, well, no one really knows how it's going to go because, you know, Port have got a reserves team, Crows have got a reserves team, then there's the other established teams. And, well, it's been a few years since you've been based in Adelaide, but the rivalry was huge in South Australian National Footy League. But now adding the Crows into the mix and Port Adelaide Magpies being aligned to the power, it really adds a dimension. You lose the bye, so they get a game every week, and it's sort of not really a stop-start as it has been in the past.
Yeah, well, it goes back to 10 teams, as you mentioned, and I think it's going to help the actual standalone clubs like the North Adelaides, the Sturts, where they haven't got players coming back in, so they actually can build a team as well. It's probably going to help the way their team functions as well. So it's going to be a unique year, and it's going to be a super year.
And it's a bit disruptive too when that happens, because a lot of clubs, AFL clubs, Ken Hinkley, Brenton Sanderson, go, I want to see Josh Jenkins play full back. Well, if that doesn't work for his local club, then that can actually hamstring the local club. But in hindsight, that can actually help the clubs too if you've got a gun player come back in and really perform.
Right, let's get into our marquee feature story of the day, and it's one that hopefully will inspire men to go and get their own checks. Michael Aish is a legend of South Australian footy, a Magarey medalist, a dual All-Australian. His name is synonymous with South Australian footy. Recently, though, he's undergone a secret cancer scare, prostate cancer, before Christmas, which he's battled secretly over the last 3 months before getting the all clear after surgery only last week. Today, Michael Aish speaks exclusively about his battle with Footy SA's Mitch Cleary.
Out of bounds now, Michael Aish. He's been well held. He's only had 7 kicks. Harvey's done a wonderful job on him, but watch him go now. He's going to run 100 metres. Puts it over the top. Great handball.
I'd been to the doctor for about a month, just for other varying reasons, nothing about the prostate. And he mentioned, had I had a prostate check done for a while, and I said, look, probably not for a year or two. And actually, when I checked, it was about 2 years, and I'd had digital examinations before, and all my bloods from the tests that I just had were all fine. You know, they were well within ranges, very, very low. So he did a digital examination, and he felt a bit of a lump. So the next day I was in at the urologist and he felt a lump. It stops you in your tracks a bit to say, well, you got cancer, what are you going to do about it? And, you just have to make some sensible decisions.
Michael, how tough of a period has this been for you and your family to endure after the diagnosis?
Well, I guess it can be a bit of a shock, initially the diagnosis and the like. But the good thing about it is the doctors who were treating me one was a Nord doctor of mine when I was at Nord, and he instilled a lot of confidence into exactly what the scenario was, where it was exactly at.
What sort of advice would you have for middle-aged men to go and get their prostate checked, because it could happen at any time?
Well, look, I guess for 5 to 10 seconds of something that's a little bit uncomfortable once a year, and if it can save your life, you're crazy if you don't do it.
For those families who have to go through this sort of ordeal in the future, what would your advice be for them? You
take for granted your health, you take for granted your family or whatever, maybe what you've achieved and whatever, and you just, I think that family plays a key. You've got to play a key in just making sure that you look after yourself and look after your family and all those about you that you're in control of.
You're a legend of the Norwood Footy Club. How much are you looking forward to watching your beloved Redlegs go for their three-peat in 2014?
They've had a group that's been together for many years, and their structure right throughout their grade's been very good under Bassett, and that'll just flow along under Ben Warren, and if they just unearth some new players and that nucleus that they had from last year, the 8 or 9 that they've left over, they can build on top of that. They should be around the mark, but I think now with the Adelaide and Port Power teams in it, it'll be just the spark that the SANFL might have needed.
Back now to Thomas, runs into trouble. Ace provides the run. Norwood with method into attack. Beautifully done. He's put himself on the left leg, back onto the right. Dummies, twist, turn. He's still looking for someone. Finds Iliano.
Great player, great person, Michael Ace. We're thrilled everything's okay on his road to recovery, resting at home after surgery last Thursday, and we thank him for speaking exclusively to Footy SA. And the cautionary tale for men out there, go and get your prostate checked. Just Michael said, just once a year for a bit of discomfort momentarily can save your life, and an inspirational story, boys.
It is, and living in Adelaide, I had no idea that was actually happening, but all the best to him, certainly from everyone here from Footy SA and Channel 9. But the beauty was this guy, for the Victorian people who may be watching, this guy was an absolute superstar.
Great player, wasn't he?
State of origin, he was in the big games. Norwood versus Port Adelaide, he always performed. McGarry medalist, he's done it all, and certainly someone who chooses to fly under the radar too in retirement. Doesn't generally do too many interviews and stuff, but he was a star.
Yeah, he was an absolute gun. I remember those 80 clashes between Port Adelaide. We had Craig Bradley running around, Gary McIntosh and Michael Ace, and you saw some of the highlights. He was an absolute gun of a player, and we do wish him all the best.
More to come on Footy SA, including some local footy. This is Footy SA, the new home of footy in South Australia.